Hey everybody, it's Certified Health Coach Susan Zartman, and Marilyn's with us tonight. And it is Monday, April the 17th, and we're continuing our study through Dr. A's Habits of Health. And this week, it's all about motivation for change. And this is such a good foundation for everything we need to build on. And I thought I'd start out, and I'm going to tell you a little story about three little pigs, Benny, Billy, and Bob. Benny, Billy, and Bob, they were all living at home, and they hated it. They wanted to get the heck out of the house. They just knew they didn't like where they were at. Benny knew a guy that had got out by building a house out of straw, so he thought he'd give it a shot. Billy had a friend who had success building a house out of sticks, so he got busy, and he built himself a house out of sticks. Bob, however, took a little more time. He wanted to focus on what he really wanted, why he wanted to get out of the house, and what his desired outcome was. So, what happened to Benny? Well, some guy came up who didn't have his best interest at heart, and he blew his straw house apart. Benny was just focusing on solving a problem. The problem was he didn't like living where he was living, so he chose a quick fix that he hoped would get him results. And that's what happens to some people. They find success right away. They start feeling good. They feel good about the action they've taken. But before you know it, they're back living right where they started. Well, after Benny's house blew away, he moved in with Billy, who had a little better plan when he built that house with sticks. At least his house was still standing. His plan was stronger. Maybe. It lasted for a little while, and Billy felt good about his house and the nice environment he created. But slowly he started succumbing to some temptations, and the big bad wolf came back with some buddies, and the stick house fell to the ground. So Billy and Benny, they came knocking on Bob's door. Why was Bob successful? Well, Bob visited an architect, and the architect asked him some questions like, what is it that you really want? Why do you want to build this house? What is going to be different for you, Bob, when you are living in this house? How is your life going to be? Well, then let's go ahead and give you some tools, actions, and strategies so you can accomplish that and be successful. So Bob built his house with the bricks, and he had a nice, strong structure. He took the time, and building with bricks is a lot more labor intensive than having to lift all that straw and sticks, but the work that goes into it is worth it. It lasted. It gave him a nice, safe place to live. And that's really what we're trying to do here with our program, and we're building the life that we want. And if you just build it on the fuelings, and you're just focusing on what we're eating, you're kind of building your house out of straw. And it'll be good for a little while, but then it's going to kind of blow away, because after a while, when the pain's not there, you're just not going to be bothering anymore, and you'll feel good, and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and before you long, very long, all that weight comes back on, and all those things that you'd hope for kind of disappear. And there's going to be pitfalls along any of our journeys, but when you got plans, we can keep on making progress. And having our bigger plan is just helping us to get a foundation to build on. And so anyway, that was your story for the day there. Heard another coach kind of explain it this way, and I thought, that kind of makes some good sense there. But anyway, into the book here, chapter 3 is on page 19, and it's the whole motivation factor. And we're just trying to learn to focus on what we want, not on what we don't want. When you try to change in order to get rid of the negative feelings or situations, you slip up once things get a little better. It just won't work long term. So yeah, you can have some success, but we are going for lifelong. That's why we're not a diet. We are a lifestyle. And we want that whole thing of changing and building so that we've got these tools and we can stay living in these healthy bodies and these healthy temples and feeling good. Anyway, on the page 19 there, it says, why do you want to change? And it says the answer might seem obvious. So obvious, in fact, that we don't often think to ask the question or to consider our answer. After all, if you're overweight, have health problems, feel tired and lack energy, the obvious answer is that you want to change in order to solve those problems. That's true of most changes we try to adopt. They're based on solving a problem or trying to get rid of an unwanted situation. And this type of motivation almost never leads to lasting change. Typically, you make some changes at first, but later you fall back into your old ways of behaving. You've probably heard the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's like, yeah, been there, do that. Okay. Yeah, such is life. But anyway, why does that happen? It's because whenever you experience emotional conflict, that is feelings of negativity, you want it to stop. Who wants to feel uncomfortable? You think about your health problems or how much you hate the way you look, and your natural response is to feel terrible. In order to end that discomfort, you take actions that make you feel better about yourself. Maybe you go on a diet, or you vow to change your couch potato ways and start exercising. But those actions aren't motivated by what you want, an outcome you desire, and so they lead to a predictable cycle. It's basically yo-yo. You've probably heard of yo-yo dieting, and people kind of go up and down, and you're on and off, and it's just like a constant thing, and we want to get off of that. One of the quotes I heard was, "Proper planning prevents poor performance." And I thought, yeah, making a plan, and that's what we're trying to do here. On page 20, he's got a little chart, and I think when I show it on the screen, it probably shows it backwards. But the first thing it has up there is intense emotional conflict. So that's like, hey, if you're in your doctor's office, and he tells you, you got diabetes, or you're pre-diabetic, or tells you something like that, that creates some pretty intense emotions. Or maybe when you stand in front of that mirror and you see what the reflection is, that can create some pretty big emotions. Or maybe that outfit you were hoping to wear for Easter and you got it out and you couldn't even zip it up. Yeah, that can be some intense emotions. So all that will cause you to take some actions. So you get on the phone and you order that P90X workout, right? So yeah, you've taken action. And just because you've taken some action, that actually relieves some of the stress, because in your head, you're doing something. Now you don't have the video. The video is not out of the box. When the video shows up, you may not even get it out of the box, but you're feeling better because you did something. And anyway, so at that point, you have less emotional conflict. And once you have less emotional conflict, you take less action. And so that was kind of an interesting flow chart of how that all goes together. And it's really, doctors, they warn their patients about ill effects of eating the wrong foods, not exercising or smoking. You leave their office ready to do anything to avoid these terrible things that could happen to you. And although the doctors mean well, they're really setting you up for a bad yo-yo pattern, using threat to force the change in their patients. So just relying on self-control is nearly impossible. So anyway, I've rattled on for a long time. Any thoughts on this, Marilyn, or anything else that stood out to you in that first part there? Or?
No, just a lot of talk about what you're talking about, the conflict-driven motivation and the problem-solving motivation, and not the outcome or the motivating for not to solve a problem, but to obtain something that you really desire.
Exactly. So it's keeping that out future. And, most of us will think, if we're going on a trip or we're planning a vacation, we spend all kinds of time. You're getting the maps out. You're planning which hotel you're staying at. You're booking flights. You're figuring out what activities are there. And you spend all this time. And a lot of us spend more time planning for a vacation than we do planning for our life. I know I never sit down and think, what do I really want? Or a lot of times it's like I am even afraid to think big and just thinking, I settle for kind of what I think is possible rather than what I really want. And I think learning how to ask ourselves, what do we really want? What is in our heart? What's wrong with shooting for those things? And, I still have to think about that stuff all the time, but if we can figure out what those things are and have something ahead, what is it that really is driving you that you want to be able to do? I know one gal named Shirley, who does a lot of the different seminars, her big thing was she loves roller coasters. But when she weighed, I don't know what she started out at weigh-in, but I think well over 300 pounds, she couldn't fit in a roller coaster, so she couldn't ride them. So for her, she was all gung-ho just to be able to ride roller coasters. So that was one of those things that just kind of kept it going for her. So you're totally right, focusing on what we want. And somebody else said, don't let misery be your driver. So at some point when the misery is gone, what's going to take over and keep you going? So if all you're relying on is that, that feeling or the number on a scale or something, when you're not at that point anymore, what keeps you going? And so that's what we're trying to discover say pain pushes, but desire pulls. And we want to get to the point where pain a lot of times is that initial launching point. So something that's going on, that intense emotional thing, maybe what gets you started on the journey, but it's not what will keep you on the journey. So you need to figure out what's going to really keep you going, and everybody's going to be different. And he talks, let's see, what else do you have in here? When we get over like on your page 23, they're talking about being a teachable moment. So hey, if you're on the journey and you're kind of stalled, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. You are at a teachable moment and you're about ready to take a step forward. You're open to allowing the change process to succeed, and you truly want a positive outcome. So hey, this can be the new starting point for what you want. Just imagine how your life will look once you've created optimal health for yourself. Optimal is the most desirable or favorable possible, the highest possibility that there is for you. And everybody's is different. So it's your personal best is your goal. And that's what you want to do. And we got to know on structuring your success, you got to know where you're starting. So that's why we want everybody to get on that scale, take the measurements. We do the health evaluations and those kind of things. So you have some kind of starting point, because if not, all of a sudden you're down the road and you really maybe don't see the change. But when you can compare the pictures, the numbers, whatever, you get all those different benchmarks, a lot of ways to measure success. That will help you going. And hey, as you see those changes, that helps you to keep going too. It's encouraging and knowing, hey, it's worth it. And when where we are is different from where we want to be, we feel tension. And that tension is actually a great motivator for action. And in future chapters, we're actually going to get into that a little bit more, and in developing structural tension. And it's that difference between our desired state and our actual state. And it's pretty cool. I'd never heard of doing structural tension charts before, and it was all Greek to me. But if you take the time to do them, it just helps you to put some steps in place. And the Living a Longer, Healthier Life, it's the workbook that goes along with the book. Chapter, I don't know, someplace back here in 29 way, they've got this section that kind of ties in with chapter 3 here. And he says, Abraham Lincoln said, a goal properly set is halfway reached. So just by having a good, solid goal, you're halfway to getting there. If you got a plan, you got a much better chance of succeeding. And it talks in there about setting your goals and having SMART goals. And a SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-oriented. And you can read more about that like on page 29 and that section. And the chapter before that in Living a Longer, Healthier Life is also great on Stop, Challenge, Choose. And that comes down to really making a decision on what you want. But you got to think about that and be honest with yourself. You got to be clear about your goals. Don't lie to yourself about what it is that you really want, where you currently are, where you want to be. And let's see, what else is in here? And the power of choice. Saying choice means it's your call. We're never telling you you can or can't do it or have it. Choice is your power to make the decisions. And it's like, if you just want one thing, making a choice is easy, because there isn't really a choice if you just want one thing. This is like on page 25. It says, what happens if two things are in conflict with each other? In fact, most of the time, we're not even aware a conflict exists. Like, you want optimal health, but you also want to eat the banana split.
Mm-hmm.
But, or the chocolate, or all those different things. You want that glass of wine. All those different things are out there. And those two choices are mutually exclusive because you can't have both. You need to make a choice. And then the overall principle is that you need to make a choice that will support your most important desire. So that means you got to sort out and figure out what is it that you desire and make that important. And he talks in page 25 about 3 types of choices: the primary, secondary, and fundamental. The primary is a major choice, something that we want more than anything else. And when we think about optimal health versus a banana split, the question is, what's more important to us? The benefits of a long and healthy life, or the short-lived satisfaction of eating something that can harm our health? It's easy to see that the prospect of a long and healthy life is a far better proposition, but when confronted by a banana split, we sometimes forget our larger goal and succumb to temptation. Hey, we're only human. But it's also human to become a bit more savvy in distinguishing the things that support our health from those that harm us. And then the secondary choices, those are the things and the actions and things that we take that support that primary choice, even if we don't want to. And we're motivated to take these actions, not because we like doing them, which we often don't, but because we like the result they bring. And so once we know what our primary choice is, it's easier to figure out how to make those secondary choices. And again, the secondary choices aren't things that we may normally do, and it may end up that we're doing some things that we don't like doing, and then not doing some things that we like to do. But it's all that ultimate goal of being healthy. And hey, those things, it's all good. And it's a process. It's not like you're going to wake up and be totally perfect. We're all, like I said, we're human. There's times we're going to make other choices. But, the long haul is to get this so that it's more of a natural response and the reflex to do well. I mean, that's the primary stuff. Anything else stick out to you, Miss Marilyn?
I just really liked how he put together that primary and secondary, and also when he talked about Dorothy Parker and how, she said, I like having written. So she doesn't like the process of writing, but she likes the outcome. And I think that will help me continue to focus on the outcome and doing those things that I might not like doing, or not doing those things that I like doing, but those are the secondary choices that support the primary choice of developing healthy habits for optimal life.
Exactly.
And I also liked all this stuff he talked about being honest with yourself.
It's
So
easy
those
to
are
get
the two
ourselves
things.
deceived, isn't it?
Yeah, that resonated with me a lot.
Yep. It's good. And it is. It's like, and I said, I think most of us just go about life. We just keep doing and we're moving all the time, and we don't ever stop to really think and reflect. And I know when I've done other things in the past, it's like when I got to my goal, I never got to my goal. I just, wherever I got to what I lost, whatever, and was at a point where that pain wasn't there anymore, I blacked out and I never got on the scale. And all of a sudden I'm up 60, 70, 80 pounds, and I don't remember putting any of it on. And
Right.
So that's part of the thing that I've learned through the whole program here is being mindful and knowing, hey, I've got to constantly be on the game here and not constantly get on the scale, but, be regularly on the scale so that I'm honest with myself and not pretending like, okay, these pants are getting tighter, but I'm not weighing in any weight. No, you're looking, and then you've got the steps to take action so that you can still wear those pants and make those healthy choices. Not that you never make choices that aren't healthy. One cheeseburger ain't going to kill you, but a bunch of them and a lifelong habit of that, it's not going to be real good for you.
Right. Exactly. It's not that, and that's what I like to tell myself too. It's not that I'm denying myself forever. It's just that I'm choosing when and how often.
Exactly.
And I know that if I do decide, Like I had a glass of champagne yesterday at my sister-in-law's brunch. Dale was like, Marilyn.
It's your choice. Yeah, it's like it's okay.
And that's what I said. I said, okay, I know. And guess what happened this morning on the scale? It was up a little from all the stuff I ate yesterday, but I wasn't surprised at that. And, I'm back on it and
Yeah.
ready to go.
That's kind of nice when you're doing 6 fuelings a day. You don't have to wait till the next day. You got another chance coming at next fueling where you can hop back on at any point and take charge of that. And but that is the freedom that you've got the choice. I mean, if you make those choices all the time, yeah, you're going to stall yourself from getting where you want to be. But on occasion, and you thought about it and you made the choice, that hey, that's okay. And it's part of this just learning to put that pause button in place and think before you sit down with that half-gallon of ice cream, or you sit down with that big bag of M&Ms. There are a lot of things that I used to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's not that I can never have ice cream or M&Ms again if I really want them, but it's like it's going to be a controlled kind of thing and have some other strategies in place where you don't have that whole half-gallon there, or at least you aren't sitting down with it all. And no, I have no ice cream in my freezer at all. Yeah.
Dale wanted to know, he just walked in from, he and Josh went to Graders, and he wanted to know if I told you about the champagne. And yes, I did.
Which you did. Hey, this isn't the priest confessional.
That's what I told him when he said, "Are you going to tell Susan?" Oh, wait a minute. This has been recorded. I forgot.
You just confessed it to the entire whoever watches.
So I said, Dale, this isn't an AA program. And yes, if she asks, I'll tell her, but I don't think it's going to come up unless I bring it up.
Exactly. So, we're not, ever, it's like, so we're not the food police, and it all comes down to those choices. And, hey, it's going to probably slow things down, and you may see the scale go up, but you know what? You're having fun, and that's what you wanted to do for the time. That's part of our learning process in the long haul of making it work here and then progressing
and still enjoying life. And
exactly. Yeah.
Like you said, just start and keep going at it.
Yep. And it does. It keeps coming off. You follow the plan and you don't alter it. There are results. It is proven. It works. And it's all very scientifically done. So it's very cool. And yeah, it's all good. Well, you're doing great. Well, I'm proud of you. It's like, hey. So next week is chapter 4. And this one is health is all about a choice. So we're going to be learning more about choices. And I don't know. I enjoy going through this book, and I hope anybody else watching this is getting some stuff out of it. I know it makes me think, and that's the whole goal of it all. And I know some of us are doing the health games, and that adds one more layer of just reminding us every day to be mindful about different areas of our health, where it's drinking that water, or getting in those healthy fuelings and getting some exercise in, which you don't want tons of exercise, but movement's good as you feel like it. And if you get the weight off, you feel more and more like it. So it's all awesome. But thanks so much for joining. We'll stop recording and hope to see everybody next week once I find where